Welcome to this explainer. I'm really thrilled you're joining us today. So we're going to be diving into something that's honestly fundamental to every single one of us. I like to call it the architecture of resilience. Think about it for a second. Your mind and your emotional capacity, they're kind of like a building. How is that building actually structured? Can it withstand a massive storm? Does it stand tall when the ground literally shakes beneath it? Well, today we're breaking down the highly structured blueprint of human fortitude. We're pulling this directly from our core source text to really understand how this vital internal architecture gets built from the ground up.
Right off the bat, you might be asking, why build resilience at all? I mean, it's incredibly easy to write off resilience as just some modern buzzword, right? You know, the kind of thing you see plastered on motivational posters. But look, we're focused learners here. We don't just want empty platitudes. We want to understand the real foundational purpose. Why should we actually dedicate our time and energy to building up our mental and emotional fortitude? Like, what is the tangible structural benefits to our everyday lives?
Okay, let's just dive right into the core of this. We're going to unpack one highly concentrated sentence, straight from our source material. Here it is. Being resilient helps individuals to cope with stress, adapt to change, and maintain well-being. Now, that isn't just a sentence. It's literally a masterclass in psychological architecture, all packed into just 15 words. It hits the nail on the head, giving us the exact why behind building resilience, and it outlines exactly what this strength actually does for us in practice. To really wrap our heads around this, we're going to deconstruct this single powerful thought into a clear visual roadmap. So our source material breaks it down into 3 distinct structural benefits. Step 1, cope with stress. Step 2, adapt to change. And Step 3, maintain well-being. Notice the flow here? It's definitely not some random list. It's a very specific sequence of actions. We're going to examine each of these phases to see exactly how they stack on top of one another to actually build a truly resilient individual.
All right, let's hit pillar number 1, coping with stress. So this is where resilience actually begins. Coping is your immediate tactical response to the everyday demands of life. If we go back to that architecture metaphor, it's the defensive reaction that holds your structural integrity firm the exact moment a sudden heavy weight is dropped onto it. Because, let's face it, before you can evolve, before you can even think about finding balance, you simply have to manage that initial shockwave.
Think of it this way. Stress is the initial impact. Coping is the shield. And resilience doesn't somehow stop the impact from happening. Stress is inevitable. It's just a given in life. But coping? Coping acts as that vital, immediate buffer. It absorbs the kinetic energy of life's daily pressures so that your core structure simply doesn't crack.
Moving right along to the second pillar, adapting to change.
Now, if coping is all about surviving in the immediate impact, adapting shifts our focus toward long-term evolution. Because life doesn't just throw isolated stressful events at us, right? It actually changes the very ground we stand on. You can't just keep your shield up forever. When the environment around you fundamentally shifts, your internal architecture actually has to dynamically reconfigure itself to match that brand new reality. This is where we compare coping with stress, that immediate reaction, to adapting to change, which is long-term evolution. Basically, coping handles the sudden shock, the acute problem. But adapting? That ensures we actually integrate with the shifting landscape. And here's the thing, you really need both. Without coping, well, you crumble immediately. But without adapting, you become rigid. You end up stuck fighting a war that has already moved on.
Which brings us to the third and final pillar, maintaining your well-being.
Okay, so if coping is the shield and adapting is the renovation of our internal architecture, then maintaining well-being is the ultimate purpose of the whole entire building. True resilience, at least according to our source, isn't just about fighting off stress or constantly shape-shifting just to survive new environments. No, it's about establishing a sustainable foundation to preserve your balance and health over time. It's literally the ability to keep your core systems running smoothly no matter what crazy stuff is happening outside.
So, the absolutely crucial takeaway here is this. Enduring health and emotional balance are the continuous, intended outputs of a highly resilient structure. I mean, you don't build resilience just to walk around saying you're tough. You build it to protect your well-being. This final phase is the big reward for all that hard work of coping and adapting. It's the stable roof over your head that keeps you safe, comfortable, and balanced.
Let's bring all of this together now and look at the complete resilient individual. As you can see, a truly resilient person integrates all 3 of these steps. They cope with immediate stress by raising their shield, they adapt to long-term change by actively evolving their strategies and their mindset, and they do the whole shebang in order to maintain their ongoing well-being. It is a completely interlocking system of survival, growth, and health.
I want to leave you with one final kind of provocative thought to chew on. How strong is your architecture? When life really applies the pressure, does your shield hold? When your environment completely shifts, do you rigidly resist, or do you adapt and evolve? And ultimately, is your current structure successfully maintaining your well-being? Resilience is a deliberate practice, And now that you understand its internal blueprint, you have exactly what you need to start reinforcing your own. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this deeply structured look empowers you to build a stronger, much more resilient you. Catch you next time.